Tristan, hi.
Hello.
You have embarked upon the journey of season 2 of Ancient Aliens.
I have, yes.
It took us, 75 episodes to get here?
It's true. And after watching the first episode of season 2, I have, I want to say seven videos.
From the first episode. Great.
So you know how we did a little, sometimes episodes clump us into series. We kind of finishing season 1 came off of a little bit about UFO sightings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going into an episode that's basically about strange places.
Ooh.
And a little bit about the science of whatever wormholes and teleportation and what they called stargates.
Oh.
So
wasn't that a show or something or a movie?
it was. I think Kevin Bacon was involved with it somehow.
All right. That was
another one of my famously wrong movie takes from a while back.
I was going to say, we can't immediately get some movie trivia wrong.
Stargate was from what I've seen the movie, but Stargate basically was a 90s mid movie, but then turned into several TV shows that have become have you ever heard of something like that where it was just a movie that did okay? I thought it was fine, but the movie was not so much as good as the concept behind the movie, and so
concept was good
when they made a TV show.
A bunch of TV shows. Yeah.
They made Stargate SG-1, and then that ran for a million seasons. And it's one of those shows that I have not watched, but it's sort of weird that I haven't watched it as somebody who has consumed an obnoxious amount of science fiction, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But basically the idea behind it was that they found an ancient Egyptian portal that if you rotated it kind of like a rotary phone, you could open portals to other planets.
Yeah. See, all right. So I looked up movies that became TV shows, and there's a lot of cartoon versions.
Yes,
right?
I remember that. I remember there was one point in the 90s where every movie that Jim Carrey was in was being turned into a TV show. And there was one point where
Detective,
Ace Ventura became a TV show, and then The Mask became a TV show. And then weirdly enough, they did a crossover episode between the Mask TV show and the Ace Ventura TV show, where two people trying to imitate Jim Carrey had to act against each other. Because those movies were basically just vehicles for Jim Carrey's Jim Carrey-ness.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Wait, Casablanca? That doesn't make sense.
Casablanca got a TV show?
5 episodes of a prequel series in 1983, almost 40 years after the movie.
Interesting. Casablanca,
wow.
Bad Batch. Casablanca, Clone Wars.
Casablanca, the Book of Boba Fett. I wish I knew any of the characters' names from Casablanca so I could make better jokes.
I used to know. Casablanca was a movie that was basically about it was about America joining World War II, but about a bunch of people who live in Casablanca, which is a city in Morocco.
Fair enough. Emperor's New Groove became Emperor's New School.
Oh, right. I forgot that Disney also made a bunch of really cheap cartoons based on their.
They did that for Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
There's a Hercules one that was pretty.
Anything they could do. Oh, I guess Friday Night Lights is pretty famous for doing that too, huh? Movie to TV show.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a Rocky spin-off show?
I am in a list. And it's in alphabetical order. So Rocky's going to take me a while to get there. But there was Indiana Jones. Limitless. I forgot the Limitless TV show.
Oh, man, that was awful. That was a TV show where I couldn't even get to the pilot. I was like, this is bad. But then again, Limitless, the movie, was also not great.
It was also not good. Yeah, I agree.
From what I've heard is that the book Limitless that the movie's based on, so the TV show based on the movie based on the book, apparently the book is more decent because it's about basically how our constant striving to perform better under capitalism and be more productive and efficient basically destroys us. And Limitless was supposed to be sort of an example of that. But then the movie sort of misses the point.
Yeah. All right. I got through. I didn't see any Rocky ones. Are you thinking of Karate Kid maybe? Because that got a...
No, Rocky had a spin-off recently that stars Michael B. Jordan, and I thought that got a show.
I didn't know. I think that's just movies.
Is it just movies?
I mean, it might be a show. I think it might be a show in the future, but right now it's just the movies.
What are those called again?
Creed?
Creed. Is there not a Creed TV show?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless I'm wrong.
No. I just did see, though, because movies... Oh, well, there looks like there could be something because our we can't have anything good without making a million of it until it is completely, thoroughly exhausted. But I just saw the term Creedverse. or the Creed film
cool.
and TV universe.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's fun. I like that. Everything, milk everything.
Milk everything. What's it called? The number one line that you can know about how to understand media today came from Watchmen, and it's by Dr. Manhattan. It's just the term, nothing ever ends, Adrian.
Yep. In the end, nothing ever ends.
Yeah, we're gonna keep mining the past forever. There will never be a time where they finish making all of Scooby's Doo. There will never be a time where like, okay, I think we did them all. I think we're good. I think we told all of the good stories. We're going to be at a point where I think we mentioned this once, that there's going to be 3 Batsmen in movies.
All at once. I mean, yeah, we're sort of kind of there with Spider-Man already, it feels.
Yep.
And then would you say, to get us back on track, would you say that Ancient Aliens, the TV show, is sort of a version of this where...
Yeah, because there's an Ancient Aliens movie that's on the horizon. And if I remember correctly from my research on the Ancient Apocalypse video, and this could be something for our podcast in the future as well, is that there are Ancient Aliens spin-off shows. So...
no, are there?
Yeah, Ancient Alien spin-offs.
Oh no. What is it? What are they called? Modern aliens? Aliens today.
I think it's just going to be other pseudo-archaeology things.
Ancient Aliens spin-offs. That would be... I'm trying to think, because they sort of do everything on this show. What could they spin off to? There's very little that they would spin off to, because they would just do anything.
Like Nazi time travelers?
You know what? I would watch a different format of this show. I would watch Giorgio Tsoukalos and David Childress go spelunking. And just drop them off. It's like Man vs. Wild style, where you just drop them off at like an ancient civilization and you just watch them make stuff up on the fly. So it's like it's half improv show, half like travel vlog. And I think that would be fun for them.
Fun.
I would watch that. And a great place they could drop them off for the first time is Mexico. Did I get us there?
I'll take it. I will bite. Yeah, we're going to Mexico today. That has literally nothing about the last several minutes of conversation we've been having.
Yeah, we flew off the rails real quick, huh?
Yep. But yeah, we're going to Mexico today, which everyone knows is notably like one of my favorite places to go.
It's true.
But today we're going to a very different part of Mexico, a place we haven't gone to, or into more northern Mexico, the deserty part of Mexico.
And who is going? Who are the people who are going on this podcast? Why, hello, everyone. This is a podcast called Probably Not Aliens.
God
where
damn it, we are so bad.
We look into ancient astronaut theory and Ancient Aliens, the TV show. And as we said, we just started season 2 of Ancient Aliens, the TV show. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that they claim, maybe debunk it. Who knows? My name is Scott Nicewander. I am the co-host of this show that knows nothing. I didn't even know what we were talking about until a couple seconds before we hit the record button. Mm-hmm. That's how prepared I am.
This is awkward because my name is also Scott Nicewander.
Oh no!
My name is Tristan Johnson.
Both of us.
And I have an unhealthy obsession with correcting people who are wrong when they're doing crankery on the internet. And a few years ago, I found a way to turn that into content, and here we are. We're
doing it. And we're going to Mexico.
Yes.
Now you wrote this in the outline, mm-hmm. and I was telling you before we were recording that the way you wrote it almost sounds like a poem. So if I may,
yes, please
set the stage here. There is a place in Mexico where you cannot listen to the radio. You cannot tell which direction is north. Compasses don't work. They just go back and forth. That's as far as I got.
I decided to try putting this into ChatGPT to see what we could come up with, just for funsies.
Oh, yeah?
In Mexico, there lies a place where strange things occur without a trace. No radio waves can penetrate the zone of silence. It's a curious state. Compasses spin without a clue. Pointing north is impossible to do. UFO sightings are commonplace in this region of mysterious space. Cell phones are useless, no service found, no Quibi to watch or music to surround. La Zona del Silencio. It's a curious name. It's a Stargate portal or transporter to claim. The mysteries of this zone are deep. Secrets held within that we cannot keep. Perhaps one day we'll unlock the truth of this curious place in our youth. Kind of fell apart at the end there, but yeah. Thanks, OpenAI, for that.
Wow! So we gotta start every episode of the show with this.
Maybe I should. That sounds like a good way to sure.
Tell ChatGPT to write us a poem about the episode.
Yeah. That's wild. So yeah, this is about the zone of silence, or the La Zona del Silencio, which translates from Spanish to the zone of silence.
That's so fun. I have never heard of this before, but it does sound like a D&D spell.
It does. I think there actually is, what is it called? I think it's just called Silence, or Zone of Silence, or no, because Zone of Truth.
Yeah, I'm thinking Zone of Truth mixed with the Silence one. Yeah.
But yeah, like basically, this is also one I had never heard of before watching Ancient Aliens. This is fun because I typically don't get surprised by this show, but this one was new, and I'm like, hey, and it's in Mexico of all things, which is like one of my favorite places. So today we're going to talk about the Zone of Silence and what it is and what it probably isn't, and about the ingenuity of locals to do the time-honored global tradition of fleecing American tourists of their money. A respectable and honorable profession, I will add.
Yeah, honestly, not mad at it.
So, the Zone of Silence, or La Zona del Silencio, is in northern Mexico between the states of Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila.
All right.
So it's in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, and
is that where the dogs come from?
I believe so. Yes.
Free roaming Chihuahuas out there.
I think Chihuahua is just one of the states in Mexico.
Sure.
In the United States of Mexico, as its full legal name is. And no, it actually is. That actually is its name.
Oh, I didn't know that. Look at me. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, and Chihuahua is just one of the states. It's one of the more dry, deserty states. And I think maybe the breed of dog comes from there, because I do know that pre-Columbian Mexicans did breed dogs. There's a whole Mexican hairless dog. That's a pretty big deal. And
yeah.
So I can imagine that the Chihuahua comes from there. Anyways, the Zone of Silence is this mystical spot that's located right between these three states in a place called the Mapimi Biological Reserve. I think technically it's mostly in the state of Durango. But this zone is pretty small. It's only about 50 kilometers in size.
Okay.
The reserve is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve located in Durango, and it's a mostly uninhabited space, about 400,000 hectares, that's flat and desolate terrain interspersed with lonely mountain outcrops. It's literally a desert. It's not a whole lot going on there.
Gotcha. Yeah, sort of a barren space.
Mm-hmm. And at one point, this place was a seabed in the Tethys Ocean, which means that there's a lot of marine fossil to be found, as well as large salt deposits that are mined today. So there's a lot of salt mines in the area.
Oh, all right. So it's a little dried up part of an ocean.
Mm-hmm. It was like an ocean very, very long time ago. So
I was going to say, I've never heard of the Tethys Ocean.
Yeah, I don't think it exists anymore. I think
Probably
it
doesn't.
Back when our continents looked a lot different than they do now. But the main thing about it is that there's this urban legend that in this area, there's an area where radio signals or any type of communication doesn't work, where the radio and TV doesn't work. And it's known for having electromagnetic disturbances that basically block it all. And according to urban myths, this is because there's magnetic waves that are strange and unique that cause these signals to basically not function.
Oh, so you step on into this dried up ocean bed and you're cut off from all communication. Nothing goes in and out of this space.
Yeah, it turns out that you can't get any cell phone calls in or any radio in this desert that's in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of the desert. That's so weird. Now that you say it, it's so strange that the middle of nowhere doesn't have any signal. That rarely ever happens.
There's some legends about alien encounters and paranormal activity that is associated with the zone. And there are even some rumors that there's abnormal animals and plants and possibly aliens.
Oh, this is cool. It's like we're stepping into the shimmer from Annihilation.
There's a Chihuahua-based UFO investigator whose name is Geraldo Rivera. No relation.
No, I was about to say, oh, wow.
This is funny because in one day when I was doing research for this and my next video, I had to look up stuff about Geraldo twice. 2 Geraldo Riveras I had to research. But according to him, there's lots of aliens and unidentified flying objects found in the area, and that people often get lost. And when that happens, sometimes tall, blonde beings appear out of nowhere.
Oh, no.
The sort of old Nordic aliens, right?
Yeah.
Which we all know have a history in italics.
And you look into their piercing blue eyes and their flawless pale complexion.
Do we mention that they are pale and blonde?
Did we mention that they're pale and blonde?
So it's not that Geraldo Rivera, but I did learn through this research, trying to find out if this was the same Geraldo Rivera, the person who's, I think, on Fox News now, that Geraldo apparently did once see a UFO while high on ecstasy, like the Geraldo Rivera, the Fox News one. So...
Cool.
I guess if we have another listener whose name is Geraldo, maybe UFOs and Geraldos have some sort of connection. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe there's something here. Let us know. Write in.
All Geraldos.
All Geraldos.
I'd be very curious about how many. There's the title. Calling all Geraldos. I'm curious about how many people listen to this podcast who are specifically named Geraldo.
Please let us know.
Because it's not an uncommon name. So there's got to be at least a few.
Got to be some. Let us know by writing a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Telling us that your name is Geraldo.
Saying that you are answering the call of Geraldo.
Yeah. The call of Geraldo.
Okay, so how did this all happen? How did we have this zone where all this stuff doesn't work and all of these aliens are found? The myths surrounding it all seem to date back to an ancient date of July of 1970.
Whoa, interesting. I wonder what was happening around that period of time in culture to make people suddenly start thinking about aliens and such.
Well, what's interesting is that there is a real story of something quite wild happening in this area that began the story. And that is in July of 1970, the US was testing an Athena RTV rocket, which is basically like a test of a missile of some kind. And they launched it from the Green River Launch Complex, which is in Utah, with a destination heading for the White Sands Missile Range that was in New Mexico. At some point, it lost control and fell into the Mapimi Desert region of Mexico. So this missile that they were planning on testing went off course and
way off course,
and then went across the border and landed in Mexico, which you can imagine would be the recipe for a diplomatic incident.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it could have ended real bad.
Yeah, when the rocket went off course, though, the main thing that was really dangerous is it was carrying some containers of what's called cobalt 57.
Okay, is that dangerous?
Cobalt 57 is a sort of it's a isotope, so it's a sort of it's a radioactive version of cobalt.
Okay.
Typically, it's used in things like medical testing.
All right, this sounds good and helpful.
Well, the thing is that these containers can be used for what are called salted bombs, and this is a sort of type of nuclear bomb that's different from what we think of. Like when we think of a nuclear bomb, we think of like bombs that use nuclear fission to create like a sort of chain reaction using like a controlled implosion to cause a powerful explosion, right?
Sure.
Where basically it puts enough like pressure on these radioactive materials that it sort of compresses the core and causes this massive explosion of energy as like all of the atoms get torn apart, basically. A salted bomb is not that. A salted bomb is sort of another fancier way of maybe calling a dirty bomb. I think a dirty bomb is sort of another, a more derogatory term for it. But basically what it is it's a normal bomb, but in the bomb is radioactive material, which means that if it explodes, radioactive material goes everywhere and contaminates the area for potentially decades.
Oh, now this is different than a salt bomb. These are salted bombs.
Yes.
Salt bomb is when you over-season your pasta and you make it inedible because it's too salty.
Yeah, it's when you take a block of salt and drop it into a drink and you drink that.
Yeah, for hydration purposes. I knew people that do people do that? Because I knew people like athletes who would do that where they would drink salt water before they went and did.
There are people who do that if they plan on sweating a lot. I wouldn't recommend it normally, but like things like Gatorade and stuff like that, like the reason why Gatorade has all its flavoring is one, because it's sugar water and you can sell it for money, but also because those sort of like sports drinks are fairly salty because you lose a lot of salt when you exercise a lot.
You need your sodium.
But I was just making a joke about like Irish car bomb type drinks, like where you drop something into a cup.
Oh, I see.
You drop
I know
I know you're a
alcohol.
drinking neophyte, but there is a type of drink called a bomb where you take a shot glass of something and drop it into a
Yes.
rocks glass of something else.
Okay. And then that's fun. And then that's fun, and it gets you drunk.
Yeah, because you can do things.
Yeah.
Like the very, very ill-advised
that.
fancy one is the Jaeger bomb, where you drop a shot of Jaeger into
I've
a
heard
rocks
of that.
glass of Red Bull. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Mixing energy drinks and alcohol is extremely dangerous, so don't do it. But anyways,
Oh no. Anyway, this is all connected to the salted bombs.
yeah. So Cobalt 57 is, let's just say, if those containers were broken, or if, basically, if that had landed on an inhabited area, it could have been what scientists call very, very bad.
So it didn't, though. It didn't hit anything with people, right?
Well, as far as I can tell, because the government is still not super forthcoming about this legendary level fuck up, is that they didn't tell whether or not it contaminated a huge area, but what it did do is result in a massive cleanup operation of the U.S. military going to the desert, this region, the Mapimi area, and having to dig up hundreds of tons of soil from the impact site, which implies that there was at least some radioactive contamination.
Where did they put it? The soil. If they dug up hundreds of tons, where would it go?
It probably have to be put in some sort of like storage container and put away for several centuries until it becomes no longer radioactive.
Yeah. Bury that dirt underground.
Basically, yeah.
Where it belongs.
That's basically all you can really do with radioactive stuff. It's pretty hard to make radioactive stuff less radioactive.
Wow.
It was such a big deal that Werner von Braun, the Nazi scientist who used slave labor to build the first rockets under the Nazi regime, and then went from being a Nazi to the head of NASA, and was one of the pioneers of the U.S. space program, actually went and investigated the site himself and hired hundreds of locals to basically excavate the area, which took about 4 weeks. In doing so, they had to set up dormitories, laboratories, kitchens, medical facilities, and put them up in the middle of the desert. So you can imagine, if you don't know the context of what's going on, they say a missile went off course, and then a whole bunch of government people show up with probably like decontamination suits, like basically like just going full, like, that scene in E.T. where like
exactly. It looks exactly like some sort of otherworldly, a missile went off course and we have to go clean it up. Oh, if it's a missile, why are you all wearing hazmat suits? And why are these all important scientists here to...
Yeah, why is the head of NASA here?
Why is the head of NASA here? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
And you can imagine the government was probably not very forthcoming with like, we fired a rocket and it really fucked up and we might have sent something that had radioactive material into another country.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so they had to set up like a little mini town basically to get everything up and running to figure out. This is of course according to a testimony to one journalist from Benjamin Palacios, who is the owner of a UFO-themed ranch next to the Zone of Silence today.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I love when that stuff happens. Yeah. Anytime you can like take something that turns your otherwise, non-alien related town and turn it into an alien related space. Amazing.
That's a hustle grind set. I love it.
Absolutely. he girl bossed so hard as soon as this happened.
Yeah. A lot of this, by the way, comes from an investigation done by the website Atlas Obscura, which is a website that basically does research into weird places and does articles about it. It's a really great website. It's very fun to read. But even on top of that, to run this entire thing, because there's not a lot of infrastructure in the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert, they had to build runways so they could transport cargo from Houston to there.
Gosh, this is an enormous, this is an enormous sort of like undertaking of logistics and transportation and infrastructure.
Yeah. Furthermore, they also had to dump tons and tons and tons of debris onto rails, basically on trains, and send them back to the United States, because you wouldn't be able to feasibly fly like hundreds of tons of contaminated soil on an airplane, or else if the airplane went down, you'd have the exact same problem all over again.
That's true. Plus, you'd have to buy tickets for all of them, and air prices are so expensive.
It's true. Although it was the 70s, so maybe not less so, but...
Oh, actually, yeah. honestly.
But to this day, there's no public answer as to why the missile went off course or so far off course. But it could be things like human error, faulty equipment, all the things that cause machines to work bad.
Aliens, alien intervention, maybe.
But this entire thing led to a media storm that then solidified the zone of silence into a public imagination.
So was it known as the Zone of Silence before?
No.
All of this? No. Okay.
No, we're going to talk about how about the entrepreneur who made the Zone of Silence later. But
nice.
If you think about it, an unexpected rocket crash, a secret cleanup operation, and some history of there being like UFO sightings in the area, it had everything you need for a conspiracy theory. But in 1966, thanks to an oil company's explorer and his dodgy radio, the area was given the mysterious moniker we know it today, the Silent Zone.
The Zone of Silence.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Silent Zone first before Zone of Silence. Zone of Silence does sound more like ominous. Mm-hmm. Silent Zone.
And basically it's thought of as Mexico's Bermuda Triangle, a place where weird things happen and people go missing.
Ooh.
There's only one problem about the Zone of Silence.
Okay.
And that is
only one.
The one big one is that it's not real. There are people
Hold
who
on,
go
what do you mean it's not real? It certainly exists, right? It's a physical location you could get to.
It is a physical location that you can go to, but there is no evidence that radios don't function there.
Okay.
I got one quote from a person who did their research in the Biosphere Reserve there, who named Andrea Kaus. And according to her, neither I nor anyone whom I spoke with, apart from the Zoneros, who I'll talk about later, had any trouble with either their radio or compasses while working in the reserve. And furthermore, goes to claim that the claims of mutations typically just refer to natural things that exist in the environment. Like a tortoise with triangles on its shell is just a normal pattern variant in the Bolson tortoise. And that there's a bunch of purple plants or purple flowers. And those are that's what happens to the pads of a plant called the nopal coyotillo.
Okay.
When it's dry out.
So it's just people who are looking at things they've never seen before and being like, that's weird. I've never seen a low poly turtle before. Yeah. This has got to be a mutation. A purple flower? Who would have heard of such a thing?
Let me see if maybe it's not a flower. The nopal coyotillo. Oh, it's like it's the desert prickly pear. Okay.
Oh, it's a prickly pear.
So some purple prickly pears, which is a fun thing to say.
Purple prickly pears.
But apparently when it's really dry, they just turn purple. And it turns out that...
oh, that's some pretty purple prickly pears.
Yeah.
Positively
picking pickled
perfect.
Peppers with Peter Piker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out that deserts can be dry from time to time. I've heard rumors.
I think, in fact, one might say it's the dictionary definition of a desert, is that it doesn't get much rainfall.
Yeah. If you were to go there, the local residents don't believe in the Zone of Silence and typically see tourists as a nuisance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then apparently there also is a local, there was a lot of local anecdotes that people will find tourists looking for the zone and typically give them either unhelpful or silly advice about where to find them, to find the Zones of Silence.
I love that.
I love
Keep doing it.
Beautiful. Get them.
That's so good.
So you're getting very quickly that it was this incident in the 70s caused a story to be built up around it. So here's the main thing is that because of the Air Force operation, a number of myths built up around the area. A local resident hired to guard the crash site during the recovery operations is primarily responsible for spreading these rumors, including the ones about there being strange magnetic anomalies that prevent radio transmissions and like the mutations of the plants and animals and extraterrestrial visitations. All of those were brought up by one guy in an effort to promote tourism in the region by locals. And it's a guy named Jaime.
Okay.
And like I said, he was one of the people hired during the cleanup and saw dollar signs in the concept that there might be some spooky money to bring in.
So had firsthand experience there during the event in 1970.
Yes.
And was like, how can I use this to benefit me? Again, we love a hustle grind set.
Yeah. Including at one point he was planning on building a resort hotel in the region to promote it. He began to generate interest in the area. He created a story with science and local folklore and fed it to the regional media. But his plans were cut short when apparently he died in a bar fight.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that to happen.
So basically, he planted the seeds of a whole bunch of different rumors and urban legends about the area in order to be able to promote tourism in the region and plan on, like, cashing in on that. And then died in a bar fight and just let all of his, like, work just spread like crazy.
Wow. And honestly, not a bad way to keep those rumors happening, right? Because now are you going to be like, well, let's go talk to this guy who started all these rumors. You can't. You cannot do that. It's part of his plan, you see. Probably not. Probably didn't expect to die in a bar fight.
You typically don't. But it seems that there is now, due to Jaime's, Johnny Appleseeding of urban legends about the area, has turned into a little bit of a way to get some tourist money. There are locals who act as tour guides through the zone who are called zoneros.
Ah, we're back to the zoneros.
Yeah, and so they promote the legends. They do tours through the area. And although when you ask them about the strange phenomenon, they reply saying that they don't see strange things in the desert, only strange people.
Just the people who want to come here and pay us money to show them around.
And not only are there tour guides, but there also is business in people making a living selling sodas or selling food to tourists. I gotta tell you, if it's like white American tourists who are into UFOs, they're definitely going to go into the desert, which you need to be super prepared for, completely unprepared. And some last minute, very marked up purchases of sunscreen, water, and food is definitely going to make you a decent income.
You gotta drink your salt bombs in the morning. Get hydrated. Don't sweat.
Yes.
But they don't do that.
You've lived in a deserty place, so you know that if you're going to go out in the country, you better be prepared.
Oh, what, Texas?
Texas is deserty, isn't it?
It's close enough. Why not?
I don't know if you ever went to the country, but
no. I lived in Dallas. I did, yeah. I guess now that you say it, it didn't rain there a bunch. Weird.
Texas is one of those states that I have been to technically, but I only did it like a little bit just to say that I had been to Texas.
It's so big, though. It's so big. Like, there's so many different places to be in. Like, you could say you're in Texas, and then someone else 5 or 6 hours away could also say they're in Texas, and you would have a totally different experience.
I mean, I live in Ontario, a province that takes over a day to drive across. So
yeah, you get it.
But yeah, like I went in 2002 when I did like a road trip of the American Southwest. We dipped down into the Panhandle just to say that we had been to Texas.
Just 1 foot in. All right, we've done it. Let's head.
Well, we stopped for lunch.
Get out of here.
We stopped for lunch.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Whataburger. What did you eat?
I want to say barbecue.
All right.
I don't remember. Enough. It was literally 11 years ago. No, sorry. Wow. It was more than that. It was 21 years ago.
Oh my God. How did you... Those are 2 giant numbers. 21 years ago. That trip is old enough to drink.
Oh boy. Man, that one made the old bones crack. Okay, because I was a teenager back then. Anyways, so while the zone has had quite a few visitors from outer and other thing too that I want to throw at it is there have been some visitors over the years from space, but it's more like asteroids because there actually is some references to at least 3 asteroids that have been discovered in the area, but that also happens in big wide open areas. So
I mean, and as we discussed with our Graham Hancock 2-parter, asteroids come in all the time and just destroy all the evidence you have of all the cool stuff that you claim.
There was one Atlantis, one piece of Atlantis evidence that was still there, and it landed on that and crushed it right before.
It was the one
right
thing
before
we
Graham
had.
Hancock was going to get some like actual pictures of it and bring back some artifacts.
Yeah, there was just like a sign that said "Welcome to Atlantis."
This was on the ancient ocean, right?
Yeah, and then it just. Darn.
We'll get it next time.
Asteroid.
But yeah, that is sort of I was about to say a cute little story, but it's a little, this is on the shorter side, but that is basically the Zone of Silence. It's a cool little spot in northern Mexico where some local people have used a very weird incident that happened to them to spread a myth and make a bit of money off of it. And I say we love a girl boss.
Yeah, I mean, if people are willing, I hate that the tourists are nuisances. You know what I mean? I've said this before in previous episodes. I don't necessarily love the idea of tourists when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this show, because they often ruin things. But this feels like a place where there's not really a whole lot to ruin.
I mean, it is a wildlife preserve, so, don't go messing with the plants and animals. But
so don't do that. Don't go messing with the pretty purple prickly pears.
Exactly.
Comprende? I just needed a P in there.
That was good. I'll take it.
Thank you.
Acceptable. But you know what? You can comprende. Going to @ProbsNotAliens on Twitter and telling me about all the fun. Answer the call of Geraldo by going to @ProbsNotAliens on Twitter and
answer the call of Geraldo and tell us what your favorite movie that got turned into a TV show is.
Yeah, there you go.
You can also find Tristan does very good videos over at his YouTube channel, Step Back. Very simple website, stepbackhistory.com will take you right there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, by the time this episode comes out, I should have a video on the Iraq War that features an interview with Noam Chomsky, because he somehow said yes to me for that. I still don't understand how, but that happened. If I wanted to watch, what are some of your new things about? I know you just made a batch of new content.
I made one where I ranted about how HBO is ruining everything more.
Well, Scott, if I wanted to learn how HBO is ruining everything, how would I do that? How do I tell John Oliver to do a piece on that?
Well, I guess it's not HBO. It's Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole is really bad right now. I made a video about the Scooby-Doo and crypto leak that came out earlier in March, and it took me a whole month to make a video about it, and I made a video about it.
Oh man, I gotta watch this. I gotta know it's
Scoobcoin. I made a similar joke. It's
Scooby
very
Snacks.
fun. It should have been Scooby Snacks. You're right. It's on my YouTube channel, Nerdsync, Nerdsync. It's very fun. It's basically just me ranting about how Warner Brothers is bad. Again, I've made several videos about it, but I'm just upset with the state of Scooby-Doo, because I love Scooby-Doo. Anyway, thank you to everyone who writes reviews, especially if your name is Geraldo.
For all the Geraldos listening to this podcast.
Thank you to everyone, all the Geraldos, especially if you leave 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. That means a lot to me. It means even more to I don't talk about this. It means even more to Tristan. Tristan can't get to sleep at night unless he reads a 5-star review.
Yep.
And we're running low. So we need more reviews so that Tristan can rest his little head, because it soaks in so much knowledge throughout the day. He needs a break.
It's true. I actually have to wring out my head into a bucket at night, and if I don't sleep, then I can't do that, and my head just gets bigger and bigger.
It just swells.
And the contrast between our head sizes is just
too much.
It's too much.
It's laughable at this point.
Yep.
It doesn't make my camera needs to be zoomed in, yours needs to be zoomed out. It's a whole. You look like Sheen on that episode of Jimmy Neutron where he has all the knowledge and he has to sit in his chair and he looks like MODOK. That's Tristan right now.
Somewhere between that and Mastermind, I think.
You can also tell your friends about the show. It's the best way to spread the show around. We really appreciate it. And the most simple way to send people to the show is a very, very fun website. It's fun. It's got games. It's called addictinggames.com. No, it's probsnotaliens.com. That's our website.
Go there. It's great.
Yeah.
That's all for now. In the meantime, I'm Scott Nicewander.
No, you can't do this bit again. I'm Scott Nicewander.
I'm Tristan Johnson, and the truth is out there.
Probably.
This is me trying to do it to a dry throat.
Yeah, I got it. You're like SpongeBob where he wants the water.
Give me water.
Water, probably.
I've never actually seen a SpongeBob episode.
You've never seen a single SpongeBob episode?
No, I'm not 6 or high.